Yo, what is up, YouTube boxing family? It is K right here. I'm back with another good video for you guys today. So yeah, let's get right into it, man. Errol Spence, what will his next plans be for his next fight? Will he move up to 154, or will he go ahead and, stay at 147 and defend his titles once more, for his next fight? In this video, I'm going to make the case of why I believe Errol Spence will move up to 154, and he will very well end up, starting all over again, instead of trying to wait up on Terrence Crawford. I don't think the fight is happening between Bud and Spence, so I think Crawford is going to milk out whatever he can with the WBO, because at least with the WBO, you get a, percentage guarantee purse split of the amount of money that you carry. So therefore, there's a certain amount that Bud can get every single time he defends his belt. Versus if he does not have a belt, he's not a name. So therefore, he can't sell without his name. So that's why Crawford is doing what he's doing now to fight David Avanesian, for the sake of him preventing himself from getting his ass beat the hell up by Errol Spence. Let's just talk about why I believe Spence will go up to 54. 54 is all PBC. The only people that will ever, cause any political infliction of taking away sanctioned body belts would probably be the WBO with Top Rank. I don't think Top Rank is going to have that much control over any of the belts, unless like guys like Xander Zayas or some other Top Rank weirdo that comes out of the woodwork, where they're going to hype him up, and then once he gets matched up with some killer, it's not going to end well. And, as much as I don't think Xander is like super duper high tier material, he has a chance to win a title, but, the chances are very, very slim. I don't think Xander is that good enough as a fighter yet, because I've been saying this time and time again to people that like Xander a lot, that Xander is not the type of guy that a lot of people think he is. He's he's way better than Edgar Berlanga, hands down. But the issue is just that you have people that really do believe that a guy like Xander, he's gonna go up there and he's just gonna whip everybody at 154, and that's not gonna be the case. I think 154 is a very how should I say? It's a very a destructive division, and the problem is that 154 is just the type of division where you can't really say that this fighter is going to do good, because everybody is basically on a wild card matchup. And I mean, like we've seen it with fucking Erickson Lubin and Sebastian Fundora. I thought Lubin was going to destroy Fundora, but sadly I was wrong. Like, his chin got exposed. Lubin had no defense, but it's like, I still rock with Lubin, because Lubin, he actually came to fight, and Fundora knew that fight was not going to be won unless he actually pressurized him and forced him to fight his fight, and he ended up, winning, the fight single-handedly. So credit to Fundora on that principle, or on that victory. But it's like 154 is super unpredictable. The competition is very, very deadly, and I don't think a guy like Xander Zayas is going to be any type of a threat to a guy like Errol Spence. Definitely a guy like, I don't even know, like there's just so many guys out there. Jesus Ramos Jr. I think Ramos Jr. at this point, like I think he beats Xander. I think Xander's just not good yet. Until he starts growing into his man strength, and he gives Ramos a very difficult fight. I just think with the state of the division and the amount of talent from 147 that's moving up to 54 right now, like there's just way too many killers, man. Like I just don't see it happening. Like I think I might have to have like a little bit of belief into thinking maybe Xander might get wins, but I think it's way too many dangerous sharks and too many demons, too many demon kings, walking around, that a lot of people don't give a lot of credit for it. But we're not going to be talking about Xander in this video. I'm going to keep it on topic with Spence. I'll save Xander for another video. But yeah, let's talk about with EJ. EJ, he's in a very, very good position right now. Um, he doesn't need to fight Crawford. I think a lot of people know that. Crawford, he needs Spence more than Spence needs Crawford. But Spence wants undisputed for the sake of him, achieving legacy to be considered one of the best fighters in boxing in the welterweight division. But knowing that that can't be achieved because Crawford ducked him, I think it's now time for Errol Spence to move up. Because here's why. If you stay at 147, what's going to end up happening is that you're going to have all these bullshit mandatories coming in where these sanction bodies are going to try to end up making the excuse to say why Errol Spence, he needs to be stripped, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, we're not going to give him any benefit of the doubt of, hey, knowing that Crawford fought a absolute nobody in David Avanesian to honor his quote-unquote mandatory for the WBO, we're not going to do that for Errol Spence because Errol Spence, he's a real champion over Crawford, but it's why can't Errol Spence do that? Because if Errol Spence, if he's, a true champion at heart, I just think it just makes all the best sense in the world for why Spence should basically do what Crawford did. And I think, the reason being is just you have people like that really do think Spence needs to be the only one matched up tough because, they want to see Spence lose. They don't want to see Errol Spence beat up on everyone else's favorite fighter. To which, they obviously want to see Spence get dominated by somebody that's just, not as good as people think that they are. But, they have some beliefs to say that this guy needs to be matched up with him because, he or she is this young gun killer, blah, blah, blah. But either way, Errol Spence, he doesn't need to prove anything else in the division. A lot of these Bud Dick writers want him to fight Jaron Ennis so bad, but they don't want to, keep that same energy with Errol Spence fighting, Terrence Crawford fighting Jaron Ennis or Virgil Ortiz or any of the top welterweights coming up. So I just think based off of what we see right now, it's just an absolute joke. I just don't see the division getting any better, and I think Errol Spence understands that he has a lot more problems under his plate versus Crawford. I think Crawford, he already had the plan set up inside his mindset because he basically took advantage of what Spence is basically at a disadvantage with, and I think that's the biggest issue. Spence, he wanted to fight Crawford, and he wanted to be known for what he wanted to do to be the first man to be undisputed at welterweight in the four belt era. But knowing that he wasn't given his opportunity, it basically left a bad taste in so many people's mouths where at this point a lot of people are now seeing the real picture that Errol Spence is the best welterweight in the welterweight division because he did not duck the smoke with anybody. But Crawford, he's the one to say that, oh well, I'm the best welterweight ever because I stopped 6 out of my last 7 welterweight opponents. So that means I don't need to fight Errol Spence. I was already undisputed at 140. So you can't say that I'm ducking Spence. I just didn't want to fight him because I don't need to fight him. Because if you fight a sub-bum and I fight a sub-bum, then what does that even matter though? Because it's Omaha season over here. That's how stupid fucking Bud fans are, man. That's how stupid Bud Crawford is at the end of the day. Crawford does not have a brain. He's mentally retarded, and he has no, education outside of boxing. Seriously, I can easily tell, when you have a conversation with Crawford, he pretends he pretends he's smart, but at the end of the day, Crawford's not fucking smart. He's by far one of the dumbest motherfuckers I've ever heard talk, ever, in boxing, per se. Crawford may act like he is genuine. He has some class when he talks, but he's really not that, he's really not that smart. this is like the same dumbass that will be like the first one to say like, oh well, Green Beans was like a great opponent over, like like he'll say Green Beans is like a tougher test than Sean Porter, but then when you look at like the bigger picture, like everything that Crawford says is just basically like a fucking lie, because what he's trying to do is that he's trying to cause like a political warfare between people that don't understand boxing, like the dumb casual ass fans, to go against people that actually love boxing, and he just creates like a social, political divide, like as a people like BFTB will say like about Crawford, he's a coon ass nigga. Like he's not smart, he's mentally retarded, and he chooses to act like that because he knows that he's just not good. He's not better than everyone else in boxing. Because if he was better, Crawford would have one of the most heavily stacked resumes in all of boxing right now. But Crawford decided not to do that because people really thought Crawford was going to be like, this ultimate badass of just dominating people. But it's like, I'm just never to be a believer to think that Crawford was ever going to do that, because ever since I, heard about like the whole situation with Sean Porter, all these big names that he could have fought from like basically 140 and under, and leading up to 47, like Crawford could have been a 3 division undisputed world champion. He could have been undisputed at 135. He could have done it at at 147. Obviously 140 was a politicized goal through Top Rank to prevent Crawford from like basically fighting the best opposition, and Top Rank did it in such a smart way where they just basically waited it out for the belts to be how should I say, to basically make up the titles a lot less harder for Crawford to get undisputed, and that was basically the main issue. That's what made let the division understand that like Crawford was not willing to fight let the best, even at 140 and under, and right now at 147. Like if he was really like that serious of becoming let the best fighter, I think that the biggest issue is just that Crawford should have taken advantage of the opportunities that were at hand with fighting guys like Adrian Broner, a prime version of Sean Porter, fighting Keith Thurman, when he decided to move up to 147. Crawford basically pulled off a Tevin Farmer in a way. No disrespect to Tevin Farmer, but Tevin Farmer, he basically did what Crawford did over at DAZN. And I'm not going to shit on Tevin Farmer because I respect him a lot, but Tevin Farmer had the opportunity to make big fights, but it seems like when he decided not to fight the best, and he only fought people that were quote-unquote mandatory title defenses with his IBF title, that's what made Tevin Farmer relevant. But ever since then, what did Farmer do? I think that was like the biggest issue. Farmer, he did not take advantage of what was put in front of him, because let's just say if he did fight Tank, he did fight all the best opposition names. He probably would have been a very good heavy loaded name in any division in boxing. But that's what Terrence Crawford is in right now, along with Gervonta Tank Davis, where they really do think like Crawford doesn't need to prove himself, and that's obviously not true. I think as of now, we as boxing fans or students of the game that love the sport a lot, we can't just be acting like guys like Crawford and Tank are the greatest fighters ever when they haven't put in the work. But that's obviously too the dumb casuals that piss on the sport and pretend as if nothing's going to be fixed. So therefore we'll just continue to shit on fighters that are good, but we're going to be praising fighters that were never good to begin with, like a Vasyl Lomachenko or whoever. So that's basically the biggest issue per se, because if you actually did care, you actually would care like about, being truthful and actually, having justice made, for the sport. So now with Errol Spence, I do believe Errol Spence will move up for his next fight. I just don't see him staying at 147. He says it's already hard to make the weight, but it's like, why risk your body to potentially basically give out on you where you can't perform it the way you want to? But on top of that, you have no control on what you want, to do for your body. And I think that's going to be like the biggest issue of the manner, because, there's just so much more sacrifice that you bring. And I think that's really, like the main crux of the issue, because a lot of people don't understand how difficult it is to cut weight and how dangerous it is to go through that. For Errol Spence's case, like, he's definitely walking around at least like 165 or maybe like a little bit higher. But knowing that he does stay in shape, I'd probably say at least 154, like from like 155 all the way up to like 160. Like, I would say that would be his maximum weight that he cuts down to. But it's nothing like super duper, difficult. I think Errol Spence, he does go through like a decent camp when it comes to cutting weight, but knowing that he's older, he needs to work a lot harder to keep the metabolism high. So either way, like, I think like the transition to 154 would be a lot smoother, and Errol Spence, he would be a way better fighter. That's just how I see it. But on top of that, for all these weirdos saying like Crawford's gonna still fight Spence after he blows through David Avanesian, which I don't see Crawford winning. I see Avanesian potentially upsetting him, because now that, we kind of seen what Crawford's really like about, like, I can easily see like a massive upset coming. Like you never know what's going to happen in boxing fights, but knowing David Avanesian, knowing that he's not like the super duper greatest fighter out there, he actually has like a good puncher's chance to give Crawford like a good shot thrown, and then Crawford's just going to blow that fight, and then Black Prime will very well miss out on multiple investments on what they put down for Crawford. I'm just saying, like, that's just my bold, prediction. I don't think Crawford has too much to really offer, and I think, when we kind of look at where the picture is, Crawford is basically on his last legs of being successful in boxing. And if he does lose, that's basically it. Crawford is basically trying to take advantage of what is left in his career. And after that, he's just going to just hang it up and say, oh, well, I was undisputed at 140, and I was a 3-division world champion doing absolutely, the greatest things ever. So I'm pound for pound number one, and I'll end my career just like that. Like that's what Crawford dick writers or, Bud Dick Riders will say, and that's what Crawford will end his career saying. Well, I was the greatest in the world. Everybody ducked me, and I was the best ever. When we all know Crawford, he's a bitch in real life. But that's pretty much it. I don't see Spence staying at 147. I easily see Spence just moving up and just say, you know what, screw it. I don't need to listen to nobody in these sanctioned bodies, and I think that should be his right move. I don't really understand why people really think Spence is going to stay at 47. I think it's just because people really want to see Spence lose that bad, so they're going to do whatever they need to do, possibly, to to be corrupt enough to try to say, well, Spence needs to stay at 47 and fight Boots, and if he don't fight Boots, then he's ducking, blah blah blah, or Keith Thurman. Honestly, the Errol Spence haters are, obviously mentally retarded, but it's just that, it's now coming to a point where they really will just try to find straw mans just to say, this is why this fighter's ducking that fighter, because X, Y, and Z. And it's obviously not true, because it's just he's not ducking nobody. It's just that Crawford ducked him, so he's now left with no choice to say, okay, actually no, Errol Spence has more choices than Crawford, but Crawford's left with no choice but to end up going, after the opportunity of just facing bums, and knowing that Black Prime, he's not like a valuable fighter for Black Prime. I think with what will happen with Black Prime is that Crawford, he's just going to try to milk out whatever he can, and then whatever doesn't work, he's just going to end up basically losing a lot of money. That's just how I see it. I mean, that's just how I believe Crawford will end his career at. He will end his career like a failure, but he really thinks he's like, he's going to be making all this money, and I think that's what's going to end up being like the detriment of his career. I mean, that's just me, of course, but either way, that's pretty much how I see it. Let me know what you guys think. I'll definitely keep you guys updated with what Errol Spence will be doing next. But that's pretty much it, man. Be sure to like, rate, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. And salute to the mighty LDBC and TWT. All right, I'm out. And fuck Terrence Crawford. I'll see you guys.